Welcome to a Round 2 playoff edition of Celtics Roundtable, powered by CLNS Radio. Holy moly, the Celtics are back, baby. The boys from Beantown, not only were they down 2-0 in the first round, they get outscored 16-0 to start the game, come all the way back and own the Wizards in game 1. So emotional, people. So emotional. I'm Jonathan Levy. I'm joined by the brothers Ignal, Matthew and Jonathan, as well as Lucky's Pipe. Guys, this was an incredible game, one of the most fun games of the season, I would say. Jonathan Ignal, what stood out to you?
So, our keys coming into the game that we talked about on our Wizards preview. The first one was Isaiah Thomas's shooting. He responded this game going 5 from 11 from deep, but hit a couple big ones. We also talked about Jay Crowder needing to have a big series because after all the trash he talked, he needed to show up. Jay Crowder, 24 points, a plus 26 in 35 minutes, 6 huge threes, and had 6 rebounds. And lastly, aggressive Kelly Olynyk. Aggressive Kelly was here, and he came to play early, not often, but showed up early and really helped the Celtics out when Washington went for that 16-0 run.
What did you see, Lucky?
The game was in a little bit of shambles, and then Al Horford with Smart and Rozier, they kind of created this trifecta, and Al Horford was creating, and they brought the game back, and then he kept it going in the second half.
They had that great stat on ABC that teams that were leading by 16 in the first quarter in the NBA this year were like 83-8. And the Wizards started out on fire, scored the first 16 points in this game, and then the Celtics just dominated from there on out. 35 points in the second quarter, 36 points in that third quarter, outscored the Wizards by 20 in that third quarter, really blow the game open. What do you want to say? Like, hot shooting, the Celtics had that. They were monsters from three, 19 for 39. They kept their turnovers down, just 11 on the game. I'm not sure what to make of it. It's just such a bizarre game.
I think if you really look at the game in segments and really like you take out the first quarter and the rest of the game, it's a noticeable, wild difference. The Celtics outscored the Wizards 99-73 and through the last 3 quarters, completely dominating them. The Wizards were out-rebounding the Celtics for the first several minutes, 10-0. The Celtics out-rebounded the Wizards the rest of the way by 10 and ended up even on the boards. Don't forget, the Wizards scored on their first 9 possessions of this game. It was 20-3, and still the Celtics turned it around. They started to play much better defense. As you're saying, Matthew, of course, the three-pointers were crazy hot. But the Celtics' defensive change, I think, is what really did it. To beat the Wizards, you got to hold your own on the boards, and you got to limit their layups. And in the first quarter, they were doing none of that. But they really got it together.
Yeah, so 33 points for Isaiah on 23 shots. He was great. 9 assists to go along with it. Washington was showing him a lot of bodies. Again, he continues to make the right reads. It's just something that we've seen develop from him over the last couple of years, and it's been huge in the playoffs, helping out the Celtics. Horford was incredible. 21 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds. Gortat owned him a little bit in that first half, but clearly Al Horford outplayed him for the game. Gortat was at minus 15. It's almost impossible to believe, given how quickly the Wizards went up by 16. Horford was a plus 21. A monster game from him. Jay Crowder, 6 for 8 from threes to score 28 points.
24 points.
24 points. Kelly Olynyk was huge in that first half, keeping the Celtics afloat, sort of getting them back into the game. I mean, what a wild ride. What a fun game it was.
Smart just did jack of all trades, 3 blocks, 3 steals, a bunch of assists. He was just doing everything, and his intensity helped them in the third quarter, especially. Starting him was a big move by Stevens.
Yeah, this was also one of our keys, how if the Wizards are going to go Gortat, they're going to have a lot of trouble with that 1-5 pick and roll between Horford and Thomas. And whenever the Celtics needed a bucket, that was the recipe for success. Whether it was Isaiah driving to the rim, pulling up for a mid-range, kicking to the open shooter, Gortat can just not stay with him. We saw Robin Lopez struggle the last series. Is there anything Washington can do to stop that, or is that just going to be something the Celtics are just going to exploit all series? Levy?
I don't know what they're supposed to do, really. Gortat is a slow, big, ugly man who needs to shave. So ultimately, I just don't think he has the speed to be able to handle this kind of stuff. I mean, if the Wizards are going to do anything, I think what they have to do is do a much better job guarding the three-point line. It isn't that the Celtics shot really, really well for sure, but they jacked up 39, and there's a reason for that. They were open all frickin' day long from three, and I don't think they're going to be able to shoot 49% again, but I do expect them to shoot better than, whatever they shot this over the course of the regular season, which was, I think, about 36% from the line. I expect them to do better than that if they're going to get looks like that. They were high-value looks, except maybe for Jay Crowder, who took a few kind of tough ones that seemed to go in because everything was going in for him. To me, that's the move the Wizards have. I don't think Gortat's going to be able to do anything except be lumbering.
Yeah, I mean, IT killed him the entire game. It's so strange. Like, just 4 years ago, rim protectors were like the darling of the league, and now like some of them are just becoming huge liabilities on defense. It's just crazy the way the game has changed over the last few years. We talked about, keys to the game. One of them was slowing down the Wizards in transition. The Celtics were excellent at that. A part of it was limiting turnovers, but the Wizards only scored 9 fast break points. That's almost incredible. John Wall had 20 points and 16 assists along with 4 rebounds. You would think that was a really good game for him, but he also had 8 turnovers, and it just seemed like everybody almost like got a shot at him. Isaiah Thomas started out the game on John Wall. He had a very nice strip in the third quarter. Marcus Smart was probably the most successful against him, stuffing him a couple of times, stripping the ball at other times. Wall got a few easy looks, but I thought he sort of played right into the Celtics' hands. The Celtics were physical with him. They for the most part, kept him out of the paint and forced him into a lot of mistakes, and he actually shot 5 threes.
I thought the game really changed when Horford was off on the screens, that he would attack outward and really get into Beal or Wall, whoever had the ball, get in their face and really try to change their momentum and not drop back. I think in the beginning of the game they were dropping back and trying to let them come into the paint, and that really wasn't working.
Avery Bradley and Marcus Smart are so great at fighting through screens, but one thing Gortat can really do is crack the defense on those screens, and he's just so hard to fight over when he's hitting probably borderline illegal screens on every single pick that he sets. So going under, it forced Bradley to go either under the screen or to foul Beal. But once they figured out with Al attacking hard, that was huge. I think another key point, obviously, was Markieff Morris going down, because that put Kelly Oubre in the game, and the Celtics were really able to go the 4D plus IT unit, and that was one of the best defensive stretches from pretty much the second quarter on. It was incredible to see those guys flying on defense. And Isaiah, who's been considered a defensive liability all season, really showing up and holding his own against John Wall.
Yeah. Levy, do you think that if Markieff Morris hadn't gone down after Horford went under him and, I don't know, looked like a sprained ankle or something with his knee, I don't know, it didn't look great, do you think that Brad Stevens would have started Smart in that third quarter? You think he might have kept Gerald Green? I don't know. I almost feel like Gerald Green just isn't really built for this series.
The Gerald Green thing did not work at all, and I don't expect it to work in the future whether Morris is playing or not.
Yeah, it was interesting. We were all thinking okay, well, where are they going to hide Isaiah Thomas? And they started him out for the most part on John Wall. Avery Bradley is perhaps one of the few guys in the world who can guard Bradley Beal pretty well, and for the most part he did a really good job on it. And then Gerald Green, he got the Otto Porter assignment, and Jay Crowder got Markieff Morris. I think it made sense just because putting Avery Bradley on John Wall, it just sort of left who's going to guard Bradley Beal.
I think the starting lineup really depends on how confident Brad Stevens is in Terry Rozier, because the reason I love Marcus off the bench is because when Isaiah comes out, Marcus Smart can hold down the offense, at least to a certain extent. He's done it in the playoffs. If Terry Rozier is rolling like he was tonight, 8 huge rebounds and 4 points, a plus 13 in his 15 minutes, I'd be okay with it. I'm just not sure if I'm that confident in Terry Rozier's ability to run the offense.
Zero.
Yeah, I mean, he could do it if there's another ball handler in there. But I think it was certainly weird, at the very least, putting in Jaylen Brown in the fourth quarter instead of, a fixture of Celtics fourth quarters in Marcus Smart, who did struggle at the beginning of that fourth quarter. But hey, it worked. And maybe that's another thing of just not overthinking it. Just put in a guy who matches up well, and expect him to go out and perform. And Jaylen rose up to the occasion.
I'm really starting to believe that Brad Stevens is a certified genius. Every button he's pushed has worked.
It's easy to forget that this game looked lost in the first 5 minutes because the Celtics won relatively comfortably. They were in good shape throughout almost the entire fourth quarter. I know the Wizards scored the first 11 points of the fourth quarter, made it close for a little bit. It was devastating. Man, oh man. I mean, the Wizards looked unstoppable. All the things that we were most concerned about, the Wizards dominated the boards. The Celtics were a step slow. The Celtics were taking reasonably okay shots, but missing the good ones and taking a few bad ones too. Avery Bradley looked lost. His shot was just somewhere else for a while. And then, I don't know, it was incredible. Everything just turned around.
All it took for the Celtics to get rolling was an elbow to the mouth of Isaiah Thomas and a tooth flying across the court, and it was on. Also, shout out to the Celtics dentist. The time it took from Isaiah's tooth getting knocked out to being set back in place was incredible. As someone who's taken a couple elbows to the face and had some chipped teeth, I've never experienced a turnaround time like that.
Well, yeah, and also, how did he find that tooth? It was like out at the 3-point line.
It's a front tooth. It was big and shiny.
They had like 20% 3-point shooting percentage in that tooth. He just had to get rid of it. Now he's what, like it's probably like 50% after the tooth fell out.
That tooth had no buckets.
Exactly.
Buckets.
All right, round 2 is here. And if you want to get tickets to Celtics future playoff games, be sure to download the SeatGeek ticketing app. SeatGeek is both the easiest way to buy and sell tickets to Celtics games, and you can do it using just 2 taps using SeatGeek's seamless mobile experience. And it doesn't just end with the Celtics or any other NBA game. SeatGeek also has plenty of concert, comedy, and theater tickets available too, and it's all fully guaranteed. Listeners to CLNS Radio can support this production and get a $20 rebate off their first SeatGeek purchase. Here's how you do it. You download the free SeatGeek app, go to the Settings tab, and click Add a Promo Code. Then you enter the promo code CELTSNEWS, all one word, and SeatGeek will send you $20 after you've made your first ticket purchase. Download the free SeatGeek app and enter the promo code CELTSNEWS today. It all starts with Wall. He's an incredible passer. He's an unbelievable athlete. He can get anywhere he wants. It's a difficult task, both showing him bodies and preventing him from getting to the rim, while also recovering to shooters and the interior players that he inevitably is going to find. He was able to slither in a few times into the paint. What do you think was like the reason for the Celtics' great success on him in Game 1?
Well, I think he was aggressive. I mean, he took 20 shots, but he got 20 points, and I think it's, with him, he's so fast, it has to do with, like, inertia. So when they were aggressive on the screens and they just, like, made him hesitate just a little bit, it was enough, to stay in front of him. So either had to take a long jump shot, which he was 1 of 5 on threes, or pass it out to somebody else, and I think that was really where it turned.
I think a big thing the Celtics did was not giving up on the play with John Wall. Because John Wall, inevitably will go right by you. That's what he does. But when he got aggressive, there was Avery Bradley with his hands in the lane, stripping him a couple times. Isaiah Thomas as well. And Marcus Smart coming from behind. I thought John Wall was the guy that did the chase down blocks. So I think just not quitting on the play. Yeah, he had 1 on Avery, but I think it turned into a Jay Crowder 3.
The other thing that John Wall did not do is shoot free throws. He only took 2 free throws, and that is not normal for him. In the first round, he was taking 8 free throws a game as he dominated the Hawks.
Speaking of the Hawks, do you think Atlanta fans are still preferring Dwight Howard over Al Horford?
You think Atlanta fans are happy that they didn't trade him at Millsap now, as he said he's now going to explore free agency? Feels great. They got something for Kyle Korver.
At least they have Kent Bazemore.
Forever. They got that guy forever. But let's just take one quick moment and acknowledge Terry Rozier was a man on the boards once again. 8 boards in 15 minutes. That's the reason why the Celtics broke even on the boards against the Wizards. If he can give us anything close to that, you can't ask that much from him in the future. But if he can give a continued yeoman's effort on the boards, as he's been doing his whole career, he's going to be a big part of this series.
What else we guys got as we wrap this up?
It was an incredible emotional win. I went through everything. I had the gamut of feelings in that one. So many times being disappointed in what looked like a turnover or a missed layup for the Celtics, which turns into a Jay Crowder 3. And then you feel like, of course, yes, it's amazing. It was one of the most emotional games, actually, as a fan. I think maybe the most emotional I felt all year watching a game, which is weird for Game 1 of a 7-game series. But it was so intense. How good is Brad Stevens looking right now? 5 wins in a row after losing his first 2 at home as the number 1 seed. Celtics looking like a number 1 seed now. It's nice. It's a nice place to be.
I think this is maybe like the best stretch we've seen of these Celtics, just like the way that they've played over the past 5 games. I mean, it's nice to see this team sort of come together at the right time, really rally around one another. I think part of it's, Horford saying that he feels completely healthy. He said that this was the healthiest he's felt going into the playoffs in a long time. Guys are stepping up. Let's just hope it keeps up.
Thanks for listening to the Celtics Roundtable powered by CLNS Radio. We're going to have our Washington Wizards Game 2 preview coming up in a matter of hours, so keep your eyes on your podcast app for that. For Matthew Ignal, Jonathan Ignal, and Lucky's Pipe, I'm Jonathan Levy. We'll see you next time.